Yeah, I mean, listen, you guys are the fucking experts, so you gotta tell me what's going on.
Let's do it. We're here to educate, so let's do it.
Let's do it. I mean, welcome, gentlemen.
Oh, we're on.
Oh, that's it. That's how we do it here.
Oh, we just jump right in.
We cut right in.
Hell yeah.
It's super natural, super easy flowing. The vibes are good. That's all we got to do in here.
Should we do a little intro?
That's what I was about to say. Why don't you introduce yourselves one at a time?
All right. So I know Nick for, I don't know, a couple years now. We work in the same office space. I know he's up to podcast over here. I run a global technology recruiting business, started about 15 years ago. My name's Evan Hecht. And I brought in my buddy Matt Spasta into this podcast. We got involved in a NFT project a couple months ago. We got involved in the NFT space about 6 months ago. Matt's the man that really kind of was the catalyst to me jumping into NFTs. What happened was my business partner, Darren, that I work with, knows Matt. They went out to dinner one night. Darren came in and said, "Hey, Evan, you need to get into NFTs." In natural ape form, I aped into a bunch of NFTs in June. And
not just a bunch of NFTs.
Why don't you explain, please?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about it. The apes were your idea, so.
Well, we got into NFTs. Darren came into my office one day and said, "Hey, Evan, we need to get a CryptoPunk, a Meebit, some ponies," and he was referring to theyre, which is a horse racing-based NFT, and VFriends. And I was like, "What?" Now, going back to crypto, I've always had some, not always, but for the last bunch of years, I've been investing in Bitcoin. Nothing major, but definitely was paying attention to Bitcoin. So when Darren came into my office, I said, okay, so I could convert my Bitcoin to ETH and jump into this bandwagon of NFTs. I was kind of mesmerized when Darren said that if you owned a CryptoPunk at the right point in time, CryptoPunk gave you something called a Meebit, which was basically like an offshoot of a CryptoPunk, and it was worth maybe $10,000 when they gave it to you. And I was like, what? They gave you a free gift that was worth $10,000? What? Anyway, I was surprised that people were taking like 50 or 100 or 20 ETH and getting ready for some of these drops. I didn't really understand what was going on. But when I saw it firsthand, I took some of my Bitcoin and I jumped in and I aped into theyre. I bought a Z1 horse, a Z2 horse, sat back, didn't race them. I bought like a scrummier horse.
Let's pump the brakes for a second. And the second thing, you're all off that mic. You got to get on that mic. Yeah.
Whoa.
So just remember, we're talking. Mic's right here. We're gonna be killing it. So
could I take that step back?
You could take the step back. You gotta baby step us because you're using.
That's why I wanted,
using
my
fucking
friend
alien, using fucking alien language. So
I want to take that step back because he's obviously just going into already the nuances of the market already. But what the fuck is an NFT?
Thank you.
Like, what's an NFT?
I think you should baby step it. What is crypto?
Sorry, guys.
No. It's all good. It's all good. It's all love.
Totally.
Listen, what is cryptocurrency? Just baby step it. Speak it to like we're 5 years old because a lot of my viewers are fitness influencers. A lot of my viewers are fitness people and entrepreneurs. So a lot of people know and they've heard the terms. They know roughly what it is, but they don't know what it does and what it can do for them.
All right. So I became an early adopter of crypto. I bought my first Bitcoin back in 2013, which at the time someone told me to do it. And I said, I had no idea what the fuck it was. But like for me, I'm always an innovator in different technology spaces because I do jump in. And sometimes it's the only way to learn. So like, you jump in, you make a purchase, and you have a vested interest. And some people are scared to do that. But for me, that's how I learn and educate myself. So what is cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency is a digital form of currency. I think a lot of people know Bitcoin as being kind of like the lead cryptocurrency. It's been around the longest. It was created by Satoshi Nakamoto, who no one knows if it's a pseudonym or a real person. It was a group of people. That's neither here nor there. But what's really interesting in the way it was created as this decentralized governance, essential body that's managed and operated by the community or the workers behind the scenes. So this is something that is not controlled by the central banks. It's not controlled by the government. It is controlled by almost the people. The
people are the regulators.
The people are ultimately the regulators. So you can't print more of it. There's a finite amount of Bitcoin that will ever be created. So
21 million.
So people know what the ultimate supply is going to be. So the Fed can't come in and say, hey, we're printing more dollars, or China can't come and say, we're devaluing your currency to zero, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's why this is all the people who say fuck the system, people who say fuck the US, fuck government, whatever, these are the type of people who are the early adopters and who flock to this.
Gotcha.
So that's like, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, which are fungible tokens. Fungible meaning a Bitcoin is a Bitcoin, a dollar is a dollar is a dollar, divisible by dollars. When you think about what non-fungible tokens are, this is kind of the next iteration of the space. This is a digital immutable record of a non-fungible, meaning it's a unique asset in itself.
Rare.
It doesn't necessarily have to be rare, but it's unique in that it has its own code and its own immutable record, and it can't be divisible by itself. There's no other record that looks exactly like it. And what that's done is it's created basically a digital form of, for some people, collectibles. And, what's the collectible people are, most comfortable with or aware of in life is art. Right? Art is subjective, so it could be anything. So collectibles and NFTs in its earliest form have come in the form of artwork, have come in the form of people have heard PFPs, which is profile pictures. I mean, if you see a CryptoPunk, that's probably one of the most popular one. People know that the best. If you look at it, you're like, this is a 16-bit picture that could have been created in MS Paint 25 years ago on a IBM computer, but it's way more than that. And I think the underpinning technology of this is what's enabling what you're seeing, which is communities being built, economies being formed. This is something that I believe, and we've been talking about for many years, is going to disrupt several industries in a really meaningful way. It provides access, it provides form of value, it provides means for people to exchange things of monetary value instantly, as opposed to I have to wire $10,000 across this, overseas to someone.
How many business days is it going to take?
It could take 5 business days.
Yeah.
Bitcoin, which is truly, used as a store of value or a means of currency, it could happen instantly, and that right there is game changing. But this is even different. This is, think about transferring an asset, a piece of art to someone instantly, and there's a means of exchange. Most NFTs are divisible or traded in Ethereum terms. And
so now NFT stands for non-fungible token.
Non-fungible token.
Okay, so I know you kind of briefed it over, and then it's NFT. When people hear it, at least they get the correlation of what it kind of goes to. And now, if you don't mind, so from there, you're talking Ethereum now. So now Bitcoin, you mentioned, is the biggest cryptocurrency.
Yeah, so Bitcoin, I think of Bitcoin think of it as like a digital gold, right? It's a means of exchange. It's it's a store of value. When I think of Ethereum almost as a toll, right? The Ethereum platform is a decentralized platform, and the apps that are built on top of it, projects, layers, different things, are the decentralized app that sit on top of it. The value and the utility of Ethereum is derived by it being sort of the core currency that powers transactions on that blockchain.
Okay.
So if I want to do anything and it report back to the blockchain, if there's a project on the Ethereum blockchain, I have to essentially use Ethereum to power that transaction. And where that money is going is it's going to workers on the blockchain who are actually confirming the transaction. This is the governance model there. It's controlled by the people who are actually confirming that transaction. They get paid for the confirmation, and then the transaction goes through.
So in terms of the blockchain, what exactly is that?
The blockchain, you think of it as a distributed ledger, but almost think of it as like a filing cabinet, right? Digital virtual filing cabinet where every single transaction that's ever been affected on that blockchain or within that ledger is stored within that ledger. And everything is open source, transparent. You could see it. You could see the first transaction that ever happened all the way to the transaction that happened 30 seconds ago.
Cool. Okay. And now who is approving these? Because I know that's and people that are listening don't know this, but I know a little bit about it. I know a pinky toe into the whole ocean of knowledge in this. I know that's the gas fee.
It's a gas fee.
Okay, that's what they call it when
it's
they're paying the people to.
It's a proof of work model, and the workers behind the scenes are people with computers who are sitting there and computing these mathematical equations, and they're essentially affecting and powering those transactions and getting paid for it
in the form of what we call a node. So think about it. If you were just recording all these blockchain transactions in your office right now, only on this sheet of paper or this computer, if something happens, it's gone. It's not that powerful. But what if 20,000 people, 10,000, 7,000, 100,000 people across the world are powering a computer that are doing the same exact mathematical equations to make sure no one messes up? It means the network's really strong. But in order for that to happen, people have to power the network so that someone would want to set up a server and conduct all this business and transactions through their machine and tie up lots of liquidity and investment, right?
And this is where you see the mining. So you see multiple computers tying into the systems.
You don't even see it. It's behind the scenes. So anytime I'm putting in through a transaction, the transaction in most cases gets settled instantly, and you gain comfort in the fact knowing that there are thousands of people behind the scenes working towards confirming this transaction, which keeps the network safe. And you've heard a lot about a lot of fraud and scammers in the space. But if you're doing a transaction, a true transaction, it will go through this body, and it's this self-governed body by the people. And that's what gives people hope, that they could do things in and away from the government, and they don't have to be solely dependent and relying on, the government, the government's money and things like that.
Yeah. Well, the U.S. dollar, which is tanking to begin with.
Well, not to begin with. It's been tanking for a while.
That's what I'm saying. Like to begin with right now. I
forget the numbers. It's like so long since COVID started, but there's so much money was printed ever since COVID. And really, if you saw that when COVID happened, there were people I know that went all in on Ethereum at 190, Bitcoin at 4,000. Just think about those numbers. I had it open here. That's why I had my phone out, not to be distracted.
No, you're good, man. Super relaxed.
I want to talk about the market cap, but the Bitcoin market cap is 913 billion. It was over $1 trillion at some point. It's with Bitcoin at 48,331. Market cap is 913 billion, and Ethereum's market cap is 479 billion, as Ethereum sits at 4,042.
I think, like, as we're talking about this, it's really technical when you break it down in the underlying technology. At some point in the future, the average person is going to be doing a transaction online and not even realize it's happening and being confirmed by a blockchain on the back end. It's the same way that, like, 30 years ago, people would have been like, I can't use a credit card to buy something online. Online didn't exist. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, when you think of, so what we call this is Web 3, what Web 2 was the proliferation of the internet. Now we're in Web 3, where these transactions that are going to be occurring in the future are going to become so common that no one even needs to understand the underlying technology, because so many people have validated and it's become so trusted at this point. So what is this enabling in this space? So, like, the NFT space, for instance, is enabling all of these new things that we were never able to do before. It's creating economies of scale in marketplaces that otherwise couldn't be created. It's empowering people to take equity ownership of these NFTs and to be able to do things that they were never able to do before. And, like, those are some of the things that get us really excited. We could deep dive into those after, but, like, that's what excites me the most, is kind of where we are kind of in the transition from Web 2 to Web 3. And not to sound like a geek or I don't want to bore these people. I'm no, like, techie nerd or anything. I'm super passionate about this because I've made a lot of money. I've watched people make a lot of money, and it's even outside of the money. I see how passionate people are about, like, just the social engagement and the interaction and the communities that are, like, born out of, like, these different projects is amazing, and it's game changing. Like, I didn't even get to introduce myself, but I'm Matt Spasta. No. But my background, I was a Wall Street guy forever, so I've always been a numbers guy. But I've always had the entrepreneurial spirit, and for me, it was like I launched my first company. It was a blockchain-based company in 2017, and it was fantasy sports meets blockchain. So for me, those were all the things I was passionate about, like new technologies merging with sports, and, like, that was cool to me. And That again, like I said, I've always been an early adopter in these things, like diving straight in. I learned, holy shit, this market is insane. The technology that's coming is insane. We were a little bit early at the time, but luckily we had a, really positive outcome. We sold our company to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which is good. But for me, it's like once I saw the NFTs roll around and I saw the use cases for them, I was like, this is game-changing potential. So that's where we are.
That was a nice step backwards. Now I'm going to go back to the deep dive, which was Darren told me about these things. And next thing you know, I'm racing digital horses that are NFTs with crypto.
So this is a use case. So when I talk about a use case, this is something that you couldn't otherwise do in the previous Web3 world that we're now doing.
Web3 means you have a wallet of crypto in your internet browser. I was very impressed. Nick had a MetaMask account.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. That's really...
The kid knows a little something.
You do know something.
Yeah.
Now, the number one rule of anything is never share your seed phrase.
Yes.
I hope you have that in a safe place.
I do.
Maybe, backed up in 2 places or whatever. Just, write it down.
I use 1Password. The app 1Password.
Just make sure you have a physical copy of
It's
that
all encrypted,
written.
but my actual MetaMask password as well is like 100 characters of all encryption, like all dashes
sure
and
you have
characters.
it.
Yeah.
That's all. And never give it to anyone.
No.
Ever.
No.
Never, ever.
Not even my dog. I won't give it to
On
him.
Discord, you'll never have to give it to anyone. If they ever message it to you, you stop right there. You don't give it to anyone, okay? So Web3 Wallet enables you to do these things where you could use digital assets and play games. That was the first play to earn, really. It was Zed Run, and I got excited about Zed Run. We were racing digital horses, and I was showing off to my friends. We play poker here sometimes, and I was showing off this digital horse, and everybody thought it was a goof. And I bought 2 really pedigree horses. We could have bought real horses for the amount of money we paid for these pedigree horses. I haven't raced them. I tucked them away. But that was my first view into this NFT space. And the next moment I realized everybody in this community, their avatar, right? Like if you went on Twitter and you like the Yankees, you may make your Twitter picture the Yankees. But everybody on Twitter had these different funny pictures of apes. This was back in June. And they were called Bored Ape Yacht Club. Didn't really make too much sense to me, and I didn't read too much. I just knew I wanted to be like everybody else. So I grabbed one picture, and then I noticed my buddy had one. He's like, I didn't tell you to get that. I told you to get the horses, not that. Why'd you get that? I was like, I don't know. Everybody else had it. It looked cool. 2 days later, I had 11 of these bored apes. And Matt, why don't you explain what the bored apes are? Or you want me to?
Yeah, I
Supreme? I like using the Supreme analogy.
Yeah, you could use like the hype beasts and like the cultural movement that those have had, the way Supreme has impacted communities and communities of scale. I mean, the Bored Apes became this movement, became a movement. There were 10,000 generative apes that were created. Generative meaning there's one base ape structure, but all of them have different attributes. And an algorithm runs and it spits out 10,000 of these, and they're each unique in their own sense. And depending on the traits that they have, some are more rare than others, dictating the ultimate value, and it drives supply and demand. And let me preface this all with, this is all greater fool's theory. It's like, these things are only as valuable as the next person is willing to pay for them. But there is so much demand because of what this community has developed, in the same way that Supreme is. Why do people stand outside for Supreme? Why do they wait for sneaker drops? They do it because it's a supply demand thing.
It's exclusivity, right? If you wear a Supreme, there was a rapper I saw perform the other day. He was head to toe in Supreme. Isn't that status? Isn't that like, oh, this is the hot brand?
Yeah, and what happened with the apes is because there were only 10,000 apes and there are 100,000 people that want the apes, ultimately drives up the value. So like, what do the NFTs represent more than the actual art? Well, now they actually represent access, exclusivity. They provide real utility. They get you into certain clubs. They get you into certain parties. So now all of a sudden this ape is becoming a pass to some real life things, has real life application and utility.
It's like having a black card. Do people really need a black card a lot of times?
Well, yeah, that's part of it. But think if there were only 10,000 black cards. But even more than that, the movement of NFTs right now within the art world is what I believe to be the new form of digital flex, right? Your wallet is open, everyone could see what you own, and people go into that wallet and they see Evan's wallet and they're like, shit, this guy owns 11 Bored Apes. He's a fucking whale. And like, that makes him smile, right?
I think they refer to me now as a legend.
Legend, well, whatever it is. But, and people are like, well, why would I do this? Why would I, Well, for the same reason why, like nowadays, people buy a really nice car, not because they're going to drive around the neighborhood and wave to their neighbors, because they're going to post a picture on fucking Instagram. And that's what people like, that's their flex. That's a digital flex. It's the same exact thing. It's like, you know, what I'm watching transition from Web 2 to Web 3 happen, and it's fucking scary. Think of it this way. COVID, we went from in real life meetings to Zoom meetings, right? We no longer see friends and family anymore because we FaceTime them. It's like everything's shifting to like these virtual experiences. Facebook just came out and they're changing their name to Meta. Why? Because they want their social interactions to happen in this new environment, the metaverse. Like it's scary, and I know we've seen this in movies before, but there's going to be a time where everyone's wearing a VR headset. We'll talk about that in a minute. Everyone's wearing a VR headset, and kids take their classes sitting on their couch, watching their VR headset, and then they play Fortnite with their friends on their VR headset, and then they're interacting and socializing on Facebook on their VR headset, and we're going to become so fucking lazy, and kids are no longer going to play. It's like, it scares me for the next generation of my kids.
It's a blessing and a curse that things are so easily accessible like that.
That's where this world is transitioning. Everything's transitioning from like tangible in real life to like digital virtual meta.
It's a wild space, man.
It's fucking crazy. But it's happening so fast too.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like it's happening fast, but it is.
To me, it is.
It is. Like, well, that's because you're in it. My digital side of it is Instagram and very, very low end daily use type spectrum things.
It's on Instagram now. I can't even keep up with Instagram. I did a lot in Twitter in the last 4 or 5 months, and it's a whole nother discipline to like keep on top of Instagram as well. And the space is moving fast. I'm trying to adjust to do all platforms, and I'm really happy today we're here for a podcast with you. Thanks for having us.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, hell yeah.
And what I was whipping out my phone, and this sounded. One of my best friends owns a beer company, and he got there through lots of hard work. Alternative ending beer company in New Jersey, and I came to him a few months ago, told him about a lot of this excitement in the NFT space. And he was interested but skeptical, and
which is fair because a lot of people are. Especially if they don't know the full end to it. I mean, listen, you got to look at people that want to invest in stocks. Some people don't ever invest even in a little bit in a stock because they're worried about not keeping track of it, not knowing what's going on with it, and watching something tank in front of them. So I understand why skepticism could be there. So.
Sure, and I reached out. I told him I have some really incredible assets, and if there was a way we could work together. I spoke to his sister that runs the company with him, and they were interested but kind of hesitant. And then a few months later, they called me back and they understood what it was, and they said we have a special type of beer that's coming out. It's very unique. It hasn't really been done before with this ingredient. The ingredient is peas, and it's green. And they're like, we want to use your zombie ape, And I talked to another friend who's in licensing. We came together with a licensing agreement at an undisclosed amount. There'll be posters, there'll be merch, and there's going to be beer with.
You have to send me the photo so I can put it on the video so people can see.
Oh no, we can't show the video.
Oh, you can't show it yet?
3 days just for you.
Don't show the camera then.
It's okay.
That's dope.
So this is what's unique about the apes. The apes are becoming this cultural movement, and the IP is valuable. And now who owns the IP? He owns his IP, right? He owns his ape, and he could do whatever he wants to commercialize that ape. So that's where it becomes interesting.
I don't own this, and I don't own the back of the sweatshirt.
And that says Bored Ape Yacht Club. That's the brand in itself, but he owns the IP for his ape. Okay. And brands, so Adidas just did a partnership with Bored Ape. They're interested in leveraging the apes for campaigns and things like that. So like it's already starting to happen.
That's wild.
It is wild.
It's wild. Yeah, because my buddy got I know what's one of the FanDuel. They were releasing NFTs.
Yeah.
Was it FanDuel or was it the other betting site?
No, it was DraftKings.
DraftKings, that's who it was. DraftKings was using Tiger Woods and all these different athletes, and
Tom
they were
Brady
releasing NFTs. And my buddy got one of the Tiger Wood NFTs, and he was like, I can't believe I fucking got it. I'm like, now what do you do with it? And he's like, just waiting for the value to continue to climb because it is.
Yeah. And you could be opportunistic, sell it. You could get in. NFTs come in many different forms. It's not just artwork. It could be a virtual version of Tiger Woods. It could be what NBA Top Shot is. It's an actual moment. So it's a video. So it could represent many different things. And like when I talk about the disruptive potential of NFTs, think about like if they started putting land deeds and titles on NFTs. So it's like you own your house. It's like on this immutable record that shows historically that you've owned this thing.
Yeah, there's no bullshit like, where's the deed? It's right here.
Exactly.
And it's not going
anywhere. And that's what people have been talking about.
I actually saw someone that's minting that. Just like you would mint a domain name, he's minting your street address. Just like in general, it's going to be like minted. So if you live at 12 Elm Drive, you're minting 12 Elm Drive, New York, and it like you have to do that to claim your house, and then you register your house, you put your deed on there, you show like a blueprint of your house, a tour of your house if you're selling your house, and maybe eventually there's a blockchain record of everything to do with your house listing. Like you need it like you need a .com address, think of it that way.
So let me ask you this. So with everything being put on a blockchain, there's zero worries or issues of it being hacked or
no, there always are.
Taken offline, stuff like that?
No, there always are. So that's part of the problem because it's such a nascent space right now. It's like the technology itself is like bulletproof, and if you're doing everything right, then the security is like as good as it gets. The problem is scammers are finding ways to send you bad links, and then you connect your wallet to it, and all of a sudden you're sending your NFTs or your Ethereum to them. So it's like there are always going to be scammers who figure out ways to steal things from you and take your money.
And they do it in a psychology, like they really get into the psychology of the user in a really surprising way. For example, we're founders in a project, Chibi Labs, which we're going to talk about how we fell into that and the success with that. But one of our partners' name is Fabs, and I go into my chat Discord, and it's like, the guy's name is Fabs. It's my partner's Fabs logo.
Someone impersonates him in a DM.
So they hacked into his
like,
account.
Yo, bro.
No, they did it.
Or they created another account that looks so similar.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
On a communications platform that everyone uses in this space.
They know I'm a
Discord.
founder with Fabs. They go psychological. They really try to get someone to just make one bad click. And they're like, hey, man, I just need 2 ETH for this thing real quick. And, I didn't send them the money, but I caught it, and it's like they will come from any angle to catch a new user by off guard. And it's that part of it is really disappointing. But I'd say that the Spaces community on Twitter Spaces, if you follow people like Matt Spasta, 1T, at Matt Spasta, or at NFT Sniperbot, at Chibi Labs, any of us, there's a Spaces community where we talk at night. And we'd like to educate people. But
I've caught a few of them. Didn't know what the fuck was going on, but I caught a few of them.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So Twitter Spaces, for those who don't know, because it's fairly new, it's the Twitter version of Clubhouse.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's cool is because everyone's on Twitter, or most people are on Twitter. And when someone is speaking, I get a notification. I'm like, oh shit, my friend's speaking. I want to go hear what they're saying. We spend hours in there because we're in there educating people and getting educated ourselves. We started as collectors and now we're project founders, which, I'd love to talk about a little bit about the project we found. But that's for me, continuing to learn from other people. And there's really fucking smart people, and there are smart people flocking to the space. There's smart money flocking to the space. It's all happening.
And then there's we have athletes coming into our rooms. We have entrepreneurs. We have people that have been successful in crypto maybe, but don't know as much about NFTs. We have people on the cutting edge of the metaverse. It's
insane. I mean,
access
there have been
to
Twitter
everything.
Spaces because you think about athletes, right? Bored Apes are talking about. Steph Curry changed his picture to a Bored Ape. Jay-Z changed his picture to a CryptoPunk. It's happening amongst that community too. Entertainers, athletes. I mean, we were in Spaces just the other day.
It's like a waterfall, especially when they see pop culture and higher fame people.
Everything.
It trickles down, and then people get even more interested.
Timbaland. Tell them about Timbaland.
Timbaland just did a deal with Bored Apes around their IP as well, and Universal. So there's so many real things happening in the space. We were in Spaces the other night for our town hall for our project, and Baron Davis, the former NBA player, just came in, and he's like,
he rocks a chibi.
He used to rock a chibi, yeah. Des Bryant has popped in there before, some other guys, but it's cool. It's just it's such a relatable thing. It's such a relatable medium where people just come on there and listen to get educated, and it's fun.
And just to report a little bit, there was NFT Miami, NFT NYC, and what goes on within these, they're like conferences, but I'd say it's it's
Conference plus a party.
Conference plus party every day. And what goes on is basically lots of different NFT projects. We just told you about Bored Ape. We're trying to do a basic class here, but there are lots of different projects with all different types of missions and charities and objectives and utilities, and they all host different parties, different events. So you end up getting a calendar list of, go to this party, and it's just networking. And what's amazing about the space is that there's a lot of new people, and there's a lot of people that want to help other people, and there's a lot of new job opportunities. And there are people that you don't need crypto, you don't need money to participate. You just need to educate yourself. You could start a Twitter profile and help other people in marketing. And I think what we're learning from our experience with Chibi Labs is that, one artist by themselves, maybe they may give up, they may quit. one developer by themselves maybe doesn't have the artist or the vision. One marketer by themselves doesn't have the artist, doesn't have the developer. But by building teams in this space, people are getting really far and they're raising lots of money quickly. And, maybe that's a good transition to explain a little bit about Chibi Labs, Matt.
Yeah. So Evan approached me one day and he's like, I need to tell you, I just found this amazing artwork. We went down these crazy rabbit holes and we were finding this amazing art, and he found this 3D generative art, which a lot of the stuff we were looking at.
It wasn't generative. My apologies.
Oh, so they were one of one at the times. One of one at the time that he found them.
Is it more, and to interject real quick, is it more valuable if it's obviously
I'll explain to you why.
Single use instead of the generations?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Okay. Well, it depends, because the generative art could spit out really valuable ones, but the one of ones are all unique to themselves. So this collection at the time was about 130. Evan had bought like 20 of them. He basically aped in because that's what he does. And he started talking to the founder, and he's like, hey, I have a huge bag of these things. He's like, what's the plan here? What's the vision? What's the future? And the founder was like, he's an engineer by trade. He was playing around with Blender. He created this amazing artwork, and he never expected to be an artist, although he did go to art school. And he said, I created this amazing art, but I realized that I don't know how to market, and I can't build a community like I thought I would. And it's just, it's moving along really slowly. I'm thinking about giving up. And Evan reached out to me. He's like, dude, he's like, there's this amazing artist, there's amazing artwork. Let's talk to him, see if we could help him. So we got together and we basically, leveraging his apeness, our networks, my operational expertise and entrepreneurial spirit.
Repping hard.
And we basically just said, hey, let's try rolling out another collection of these things. The artwork was awesome. We wanted to do a generative collection of 3,000 of these. We said, let's launch it in 3 weeks and just leave it to us to really go out there and build the community. And there were like 250 people in his Discord at the time. And that's typically a barometer of like the health of a project. 3 weeks later, we had one of like the hottest drops in the NFT space. Our Discord was just popping off.
14,000, 13,000?
I think 16,000 was.
And then it died down a little bit.
Yeah, it died down a little bit because there's always hype leading into these things. We sold out in 30 seconds. The market went nuts. Everyone was loving us and hating us, loving us because it was amazing, hating us because they didn't get what they wanted. And then the secondary market exploded and went crazy. And that was kind of like the birth of this next iteration of Chibi Labs. Chibi Labs is the studio behind these different collections. Chibi Apes was the collection we launched. It was 3,000 apes, not copying Bored Apes, but they look completely different. But, the moment we sold out, we looked at each other and we're like, holy shit, what did we just do? It was like, now all of a sudden you have this fiduciary responsibility to your collectors who are like your investors, and you're like running a business. We raised all this money and we're like, what do we do with the money? We have to use this as operating capital and make smart decisions. And like, that moment I went from thinking we were launching an art project to launching, a full scale business. And, the first thing we looked at each other, we're like, all right, we need to build a roadmap and we need to figure out what our business plan is. And, this happens 27 times a day, but Evan goes, I got a great idea. And I'm like, all right, what is it this time? And he had a great idea at the time.
And basically I reached out to Spasta and Fabs.
Hey, turn that mic. Yeah, you're good. Just make sure you're talking right into it.
I reached out to Spasta and Fabs, my partners, and I said, hey guys, I've been talking with these guys and I've been scoping out. They call me Sniper in the industry. NFT Sniper Bot is my Twitter, and it's because I have I get very excited about finding good deals in the NFT space, and I have a way of going about a methodology to try to figure out what the alpha, the right move is. So I was investigating this move in a place called Decentraland. Looks very similar to what people may see of Roblox or Sims, or if they remember Second Life.
And these are all considered metaverses, even Roblox. And Roblox is the example that everyone knows, but this is these metaverses.
Roblox is considered a metaverse? Yeah, really? I didn't know that.
These are the adult versions of metaverses.
Call of Duty technically is a metaverse because it's a bunch of users.
Twitter Spaces is a metaverse. I mean, you could stretch the definition of what it is, but the metaverse is it's a new medium where people are socializing and engaging and communicating. So it really could be anywhere.
But we find a place in Decentraland that I think is a good deal. It's 4x4 parcels, so 16 parcels. This was about 3 months ago or so, and probably a month or two ahead of Mark Zuckerberg's announcement about the Meta. And I called Spasta Fabs. Spasta's like, but what are we going to do with this? What do you want to do with this? And I was like, listen, it's a digital asset. I think we're onto something. If we're not, like, dude, it's on me. I got apes. We'll figure it out. Like, we're not going to lose on this one.
Yeah. So we're like, all right, we trust you. We aped in. We bought this huge plot of land, and like, what is the modern day version of SimCity? And we hired developers to develop the land, and we built this galactic fucking jungle, and it's like the most amazing thing ever. And now, like, we throw parties there. A couple thousand people show up to a party and they're just running around and collecting merchandise, and there's a DJ and a dance floor, and it's like fucking weird. But this is the first time people in our community are like adopting the metaverse, and they're like, this is what it means to, like, these are the kind of the early versions of metaverses, and watching communities interact in them is just, it's fascinating to watch.
And then when you're done, I have a question too.
This in a good way, not a snowball going downhill, but like a snowball going uphill. But this kind of steamrolled real quick, real fast. And we got on Spaces like 3-4 months ago. And around the time of buying this land, I remember saying out loud to Spasta, I'm like, in 6 to 12 months from now, we won't just hang out on Twitter Spaces. We'll be hanging out at SniperBot's big fat castle, and we'll be served hors d'oeuvres, and we'll have fireworks, and that will be the flex.
Digital hors d'oeuvres.
It won't be good enough that I have 10 apes, 7 apes, and all these cats and all these things. It will only be, the new flex will be who has the biggest house in the metaverse, and we're all gonna hang out there, and that's how we're gonna socialize and get out of these little avatars on Twitter.
So it's a reality now, and it's all happening. So.
And it just, I felt like as we were making this move for digital real estate that we had the chance to accelerate that process. And, not perfectly, because the audio is not perfect on that platform, and I'll admit it. So we still have to stay on Spaces, but the visual aspect, we stay on Spaces. We go into this metaverse land. There's a DJ pumping. We're going to have this big party on January 1st. We're trying to get as many people online as possible in Decentraland. We're trying to go for a record that's never been done before. If we get if we got 2,100 people online at the same time, we would break the record. And hopefully we're on pace to do that.
He had a question. So
let me ask real quick. So you say Decentraland, it's a metaverse. It's a metaverse, and just like you said, anything else could be considered the definition stretched out a metaverse. What happens if whoever created Decentraland, it's like a Call of Duty, and they decide, oh, we're coming out with a new one instead, and they shut that one down? Or
so no one shuts it down, because Decentraland is decentralized and it's owned by the people.
Maybe 90% decentralized, I'm learning.
Yeah, but by the way, there are going to be hundreds and thousands of metaverses. The ones that are going to win are the ones that are going to have the most adoption, just like the video games that win are the video games that have the most adoption. So wherever the most people are hanging out and doing things, and what's going to happen is there are going to be play to earn games in there. There are going to be video game like activities to do in there, to mine and mint tokens where people can make money, and it's just like the possibilities are endless.
Do you see mainstream AAA games going that way, from Xbox or PlayStation?
I see mainstream games going that way. Just think of a world where you could own a plot of land in Fortnite, and in order for people to play on it, they have to pay you some sort of royalty or fee. Like, it's going to happen where there's going to be an entire environment that's owned by the people, and the game is operated by the people, but the game is played by the people too.
Gotcha.
Have you ever seen the movie Ready Player One?
You know what? I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I know the general concept of it, that it's an all digital world, basically, that
You should watch it this weekend. It's really entertaining.
That you're getting zooped into.
But let me explain just a little bit further, and then I'll back it up. Is that what you saw in my office of that digital world?
Correct.
That I showed you? That lives in an internet browser. In a few months, or maybe 6 months, or 3 to 6 months time frame, maybe sooner, that land I showed you, Decentraland that we talked about, should be a downloadable client. It should open up for better technology as well as virtual reality. Imagine coming into my office and going into that jungle I showed you, but I'm going to put on an Oculus, and you're actually going to be there, and you're going to touch and feel, something, or you'll pick up a galactic laser gun and shoot like a target, because it'll be fun or whatever. And you'll do that in my office, and that's real. And, it's not that far away. And what I will say is that there are multiple different metaverses. Some are going to handle something called play to earn a little bit better than others. And the names that we're hearing to at least do research on, please no one go ape into anything, but to do research on would be Decentraland, Sandbox, and Gala Games would be where I would stop for now.
And what was the one that you showed me that's in development still? That looked pretty cool. The one that had like the really nice artwork and graphics on it.
I was playing like Farmville and stuff.
No. There was a video, a YouTube video you showed me.
Oh, that's going to be Gala Games. That's the stuff.
That's Gala Games. That's the incorporating company.
Yes. But all of these things are going to be. I think they're going to be mainstream adoption. I think that I don't see my son playing the same type of style Call of Duty or Fortnite right now in the future. I think he's going to want to spend his time doing things that earn him tokens that he could take away from the game. Not just a high score, not just a better weapon, but actual cryptocurrency could be coming. There's a game I'm playing right now, earning cryptocurrency.
I think to really sum all these things up, it's like this stuff is all happening and there's real world applications. Like it's already behaviors that we're doing today. It's just kind of morphing over into these new platforms, and it's here to stay. It's just a matter of how quickly it becomes adopted. And it's the same thing as like everyone was like, the fuck is Bitcoin and Ethereum? Now people are looking at Bitcoin at 60,000. It's just like, what the fuck happened? It's like, I got to buy a Bitcoin now. It's like, you don't want to be late to these things. Like, it's not for everyone, but like, there's definitely places to go to get educated. And, you know,
where are some of those places? Obviously following you gentlemen on Twitter. You learn a lot.
Following us on Twitter, but like being on Twitter, I think is a really good place to go. TikTok actually has a lot of good educational videos. I mean, there are good follows on Medium.
I can name drop a little bit on people like Tom Bilyeu from Impact Theory. There's also a group we follow called NFT Culture. I think it's nftcult.io. We've seen a lot of successful stories of people with no experience go into those discords and learn a lot real quickly.
YouTube is great. There are a bunch of really good YouTubers out there. Crypto Gorillas, one that
we like him a lot.
We've partnered with, who's really great, really relatable and genuine. Look, there are a lot of scammers in the space. There are a lot of people who have 100,000, 200,000 followers who use that influence to kind of shill, as they say, put people in bad projects because they're getting paid to do so. So there's a lot of sketchy players in the space, but
there's a lot of sketchy players in the fucking world anyway. So
correct.
Cool.
Well, hey, thanks for having us. And, more information you could find on at Matt Sposta, MATSPOSTA, and at Chibi Labs, CHIBILABS, and myself at NFT Sniper Bot, NFT Sniper Bot, BOT.
I love that. This is like a quick little.
Where do we follow you?
This is the Rizology podcast. So this is actually going to be episode 11. Nice little quick one. We're actually 41 minutes in. Goes by quick, right?
Nice.
Goes by quick.
Where do we follow you on Twitter and Instagram?
You know what? Twitter, I think is Rizology. It's the same thing. RIZZOLOGY. And then my Instagram is at Nikki Rizzles. Nikki_RIZZLES. That's it.
This was the primer, right? Crash course. Next time we could do a deeper dive. And I think we went a little deep here, but like.
You did. I think because the people are going to be a little confused listening to this.
Sure.
Because I'm still confused listening to some of this stuff, and I'm in the studio with you guys. But that's kind of what learning something new brings about. You have to kind of dip a toe into the ocean, like I said. You got to dip a toe in and then go in.
I'm going to leave you with, because I'm a big supporter of the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and that's how it is. Bored Ape Yacht Club. You could Google it.
Mm-hmm.
If you even type Bored Ape Yacht Club Medium, there's a Medium article that really explains it really well. And two thoughts: there was an exclusive party in New York City where it started with Beck, who hasn't played together in 10 years. And then it was Chris Rock, said a few jokes, then the Strokes, and then Little Baby. That was an exclusive warehouse party in Brooklyn for the Bored Apes. There was also a yacht party where they rented a yacht and toured around New York City. But when they started this thing, they had this concept of an actual yacht club in Miami. And it's coming to fruition, just how there's a Soho House in New York, private club. There's going to be a private bar restaurant in Miami that you only get into if you have a Bored Ape or a mutant ape. And it's worth reading about. Bored Ape Yacht Club. You heard it here first if you never heard about it.
So how and real quick, because we're kind of like we exited and now we're coming right back in real quick. How do they show? Is it just in the wallet, the digital wallet that you were telling me? So like you just pull your MetaMask out and then you have the Bored Ape.
It's not just MetaMask. It's OpenSea is the marketplace that displays your wallet. Essentially, it displays what's in your MetaMask.
So on a to-go platform like a phone, if you're trying to get into a restaurant that only allows you in if you have a Bored Ape, how do you display it?
You probably pull up your OpenSea.io.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
It's all crazy.
It's crazy. Well, Listen, gentlemen, I appreciate you.
Thanks again for having
us. You guys are busy individuals. Real quick, and then next time, if I get some questions, I'll talk to my guys. You talk to your people if we want to do something and get a little bit more information on specific topics. I think that would be fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, I'll post something on Twitter and tag you, and maybe we'll see if any of your audience has questions for next time. That would be awesome.
Done.
Awesome. Great.
Peace.
Peace.